Hey everybody, Tyler Skinner here again with Women Making Waves. This month in September, our theme is Lessons Learned, and I have the distinct honor and privilege of speaking with Chris Hauri, and she lives in Chicago. I've met Chris through a group that we're working on together called Squircle, and so that has been a lovely journey. But today is all about Chris. She is semi-retired after having this long-standing successful career in marketing and advertising, including owning her own business of 50 employees. So nothing to sneeze at. And now she gets to choose the projects and the people that she wants to work with and just engage in meaningful work. So Chris, welcome. Welcome to Women Making Waves. Thank you for joining us today and talking with us about some lessons that you learned. Can't wait to hear what you have to share with us.
Thank you, Tyler. I love this topic. I, being sort of a leading edge baby boomer, I'm now 71, soon to be 72. There weren't a lot of role models for me to learn on what I should be doing, and not a lot of places where I could learn some lessons. So a lot of them came to me. But one I'd really like to share with you and the listeners, because I think this is pretty interesting, is as I was growing up, when I went into advertising, my mother was very excited. She had always read the advertising column in the Chicago Tribune, and she dreamt of the day that my name would be in the column, that I was promoted to something. And so I worked my way up the ladder, and quickly, because back then you could do that, especially being a woman in this new world where they needed to promote women. And I was a creative director. I was an executive creative director. I was making more money than I knew what to do with. I was also traveling 80 hours a week. I had some of the most nasty clients I had ever met. I was Philip Morris cigarettes was one of my accounts. So I look back at that and go, oh my God, how did I do that? But I needed a vacation. So I went on an African safari to Kenya. And in Kenya, you're driving around looking at nature. You're completely out there with the food chain. You see animals being killed and eaten. You see people who have nothing, and yet they still have the spirit of joy. You dance with the Samburu warriors. It's just an amazing experience. I came home and I quit my job. Mother was not pleased, but I then went on to start my own agency. And I learned, especially as my agency was growing, what was important to me. And it was not having my name or my company name in the Chicago Tribune or any of the other publications. What I look back on now is the number of young people that I was able to bring into the marketing world, good or bad, probably about 45, hired as interns or hired right out of college. And they were just so excited to be part of it, and how happy I was, even if they left to go off and start their own careers other places. I was able to give over 200 people jobs. And we had great clients. We had Crayola, we had Gatorade, we had Old Navy, we had fun projects, and we had an incredible culture. So I was bringing people not just jobs, but really jobs that mattered. Other things that I look back on and I'm really proud of, for Girl Scouts, I was their chief marketing officer. After I had retired, they brought me on part-time for the 100th anniversary. And I did a program for teen Girl Scouts called Reality Check. And I actually got a model from America's Top Model. I got Kathy Griffin's niece, who was on My Life in the D List. We got these people to actually talk to teen girls on what reality TV is really like. We brought in other experts to talk about just yourself and your own sense of style. It was really, really wonderful. And so if I brought some self-realization and some self-esteem to teen girls, that I'm proud of. I'm much more proud of that than getting my name in any paper, even though I was pretty proud when we really won a major award in the PR world for it. But neither here nor there. So I just wanted to mention this as a lesson learned, that it's not money, it's not title, it's not a large office. It's what are you giving to other people? What can they take away? How are you making other people's lives better? And that really boils down to why we're here. It's not about titles and boardrooms and positions like that. It's what's meaningful to you and how can you make that work?
I love that you brought that up because I think that you're flipping a lot of things on its head in that sense, because our society and a lot of people have told a lot of us for a long time that it is money, that success equals money and success equals all these accolades and accomplishments and awards and all these things, right? And that you climb the ladder and you get to the top, and or you have all, you look down around and say, look at all the things I built. And I think that it's really nice and refreshing to hear that it is what matters to you. It's very an individual journey in that sense. And I think that we're seeing a lot more of that now, and especially for women. I think that's another thing. It's a whole different category in and of itself of women trying to discover, who am I and what do I want? And is it okay? I guess that permission. And I love that you're sharing this because it's giving that permission of just, I left and then I decided this and I made these choices because I realized that it wasn't for me. This
Yeah.
wasn't going to work.
I
And
wish.
so how did that feel, for you?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was terrifying for my mother, who always thought I'd be a bag lady. But when you're doing something that you find meaningful, it really, you do your best.
Mhm.
Just such a difference. I really wish that every woman could just sit and write down, what are they proud of?
Mm.
And is it that you raised a fabulous child? Is it that it's not about titles, it's about what you're proud of. So that,
You'll appreciate this, Chris, coming from marketing and advertising in the background. We often talk about this here when making waves, that we have a lot of great marketing in the world. There's a lot of great marketing and there's not enough good storytelling.
yeah,
So I appreciate your storytelling. I appreciate those type of things. I really wanted to talk with you today because I know that stories matter. They mean a lot, and your story matters, and my story matters, and everybody has stories to tell. And we're often not sharing those in a way that's really authentic. It feels like we're funneling them through a marketing plan or some sort of strategy. And so how can you talk a little bit about that? Like how was storytelling a part of your work? How has it shifted for you since, because you come from that background? So
yeah,
it's a whole there, you're living kind of those two hats in a way. Like, we've got to market
yeah.
for clients, but we also,
Right.
you want to be authentic and connect.
I remember a mentor of mine. She was my boss at one of the agencies I worked at, and everything was a story from her. But it was in the olden days. J. Walter Thompson, when we wore gloves and hats to work, and they were stories, but they never had any takeaways. And it's like, no, you got to have a takeaway on this too. I found that so much of the work that I did with young people in my agency was around stories. And it was a story, whether it was an account that we had worked on and something I had done that led up to the strategy. Instead of, life is not a PowerPoint presentation. Life has all of this great color behind it. And the more you can make it real, the more you can make it stand out and make it a story, the more it's going to be remembered. Another thing that I encourage your listeners to do is, this is something that I did, and as a marketing person, sort of natural. I sat down one time and said, what were my 10 best ideas? And this also can go along with, what were the stories behind the 10 best ideas? Because there is a story behind every one of them. And jot those down and jot the story with it too, because that's the really fun part. Here's an example. I worked for a very self-centered man who felt that he was the father of marketing. And oh, he was just so full of himself. And it was the agency's 25th anniversary. And so he wanted to make a big splash about how great he was. And I was in charge of writing the invitation to the party. I'm thinking, okay, what do I say? We have to celebrate this guy. And one of my best ideas, and I just like labored over this. And I thought, how can I do this without making him the center of attention and making the agency and the clients the center of attention? So the copy ended up being 25 years in good company. And we listed the names of all of the employees in 25 years and all of the clients. And his name was in there someplace. But how do you get to that? And so that story was, it's so in my mind, and it's something that I want to carry on to other people, because it's the story of keep looking, keep trying, don't settle for just what the normal thing is. How do you make it better? So, and you can also steal that line, the 25th anniversary of Women Making Waves. You could say 25 years in good company.
25 years in good company. Yeah. I mean, there's so many, I've had the honor and privilege of just hearing the stories. You know, I love being on this side of the seat. You know, I like to hear people's stories, and I find I learn more that way. And I think a lot of us do. A lot of us learn that from that, what other people have been through, you know, what their experiences have been. And I know that, you know, I'll share a little teaser here right now, but we'll be working, Chris and I are going to work on some stuff related to this, to ageism, and, you know, to being that you can do anything at any age, anytime. And there is no definition or limitation. And I think that that's going to be, I don't know, not that it's not been done before, but I feel like we're going to bring our own little special flavor to it, and our own stories and our own unique experiences. So every time I'm with you, Chris, I hear you always have a story. And that has been something that's been the truest joy for me, is just being around you and getting to know you and working with you in different capacities, because you have something to share that way through a story. And the stories always have golden nuggets in them. There's always something valuable that you can pull out. Like right now, I'm taking Life Is Not a PowerPoint. I am taking that.
It's yours. It's yours. Well, you've had some pretty good stories too since I've known you. So
I love it. I love it. So what can you leave us with as we wrap up? Like what's at the top of your mind when it comes to, you know, we serve a variety of women on this platform. And so when you're thinking of storytelling or thinking of lessons learned, you know, what can you share with us? Because we like to inspire, but also calls to action are very important to us. Like, what would you encourage women to kind of be looking for, be doing when it comes to this?
Take time to reflect. That I look back, speaking of stories, I look back at my mother and how she worked, my dad worked, she was busy, she was involved in the community, and I seldom remember her ever being able to sit down and think about what did she do that she's proud of, that she was afraid of, that she accomplished. We need to do that. We just need to do that, and not just let it go in passing, but to really embrace it. And now I'm to the stage where I am passing this on to my family. I pay attention. I do a lot of little Zooms and little video things. I'll get my nieces and nephews together for a tea party or a campfire, and I'll share stories of the family, because these are things that they're not written down. They need to be captured in some way, and it captures their imagination as well. So my words are: take the time and embrace your stories.
And embrace. I like that part. Embrace the stories. Not only taking the time, but embrace them, because they're all valuable. And thank you, Chris, so much for always imparting wisdom, you know, and insight and a peek into your world, because it is fascinating. There's so much more to come. And so this is just kind of we're just scratching the surface of all the things we're going to be hearing from you and all the stories, because we learn so much. And I just appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today and share a little bit about your journey and what it's been like, and give us some stories from your past.
Great. Thank you.